Welcome to another weekly Pantheon Roundtable. Hi, I'm Dan. Good to see you guys. Joining us today, Brad McQuaid, the head of the project. Brad, thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
As always, guys, you can find out more about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen at pantheonrotf.com if you've never heard of it before. And if you have, this is a little hat to you. You know the information already. Make sure you join us in the Pantheon ROTF chat room at pantheonrotf.com/chat. We'll be taking questions and comments from there. Guys, we love you in our normal chat room, in our Twitch chat room, and we appreciate you. But this time is a little for the Pantheon supporters, so we are going to be taking questions and comments directly from there. Brad, we have had a few updates for the Pantheon project, so go ahead. The floor is yours. Tell us what's going on right now.
Well, I just wanted to, I appreciate your time to get the word out. I've done a couple other interviews and we've updated our site. But for anybody who missed it, we have some bittersweet news. A little more bitter than sweet, but we have been, developing a prototype, a demo, whatever you want to call it. It shows off combat. It shows off a zone that was made, put together. So this, Sanctum people, we've released some screenshots on that. It's looking really good. You can go in and walk around with other people and do some, do some of our kind of advanced combat system. We've also just recently finished putting together a solid business plan and term sheet. So we are perfectly poised and in talks with investors, potential investors, mostly angel investors. They need to be accredited investors in order to work with us. The downside is that the crowdfunding has kept everything going, including the team, and that money has just has run down. We did not get as many repledges after Kickstarter onto our own site as I had hoped. They really came in really powerfully at first, and like I said, we had some really seemingly good leads, some people who really thought that they could get us some investment money. But it's hard. It's a difficult economy, difficult situation. You can't count your chickens before they hatch. So we were feeling great. And then we've, within the last week or so realized that it probably does not make sense to go forward with development until we can really bring in the money to get an office and to have people on as employees. Everybody's been on as a contractor, kind of going month to month, and that's hard. A lot of the guys have been working since, September, October timeframe. Didn't see any money until a couple months ago. It's been tough. They poured their hearts and souls into it. Really proud of them. Really proud of the project. But you got to pay the bills and you got to take care of yourself first and your family. So, I've been speaking with them and reaching out to them, and most seem certainly, still committed. As from a psychological standpoint, it just doesn't make sense. If I can't help them meet their financial needs, then they, it would be wrong to ask them to pour a lot of time into it unless it's just something that's a decision they make. So that's the unfortunate news. We're on hold for development, but still, I want the great news is that the crowdfunding and all the wonderful support from everybody out there, from the community, whether you gave money or didn't give money, but still spread the word and gave us a lot of support and hope. We are and we have achieved that initial goal that we talked about early on months ago, and that was, in addition to having a solid business plan and term sheet, an impressive demo that where we can show a potential investor, this is what 12 guys were working in what little free time they have, working on the side, working for not a lot of money. This is what our passion for this project has put together.
Mm-hmm. It's really important to remember that. So, is there any specific next step that you specifically are looking towards? Is there a specific milestone you feel needs to happen before progress can continue on the Pantheon Rise of the Fallen project?
In terms of fundraising, like I said, we're perfectly poised. We have what we need. It's like we have ammo, in the gun. We're ready to go on that, and we're reaching out. We're already in talks with several potential investors, and what we're just asking the community now is, hey, if you know any kind of investment firm, or you maybe have a friend of a friend or something, what would be great would be angel investors, which are typically people who invest directly into the project. They don't have someone else invest their money, and to find a small group of people that really want to see Pantheon happen. That would be ideal, but certainly we're open to any kind of opportunity. So we're perfectly poised for that. In terms of resuming development work, at the rate we were going, we got to wait on funding and really do it right. We can't continue on scraping by, which is what it would be. That's just not fair to the team. So that part's on hold. But myself, Chris, my financial guy, I've got a good little team here, and we are getting that. I've been sending out the whole package, the business plan, and everything. And we're looking for leads, and we're finding some, and we need more.
Absolutely. Speaking of your staff, we have Valen in chat in our Twitch.tv chat. Hey, Valen, good to have you here. We also have an audio stream going through the KTAM radio folks, ktamradio.com. We appreciate that because I know a couple people have had issues listening to our broadcast. We do stream at a very high quality, so we know some people do have problems. So thank you so much for that. Going back to the subject of staff, have you guys have had staff issues because of this halt in progress?
People are disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so. We hoped that we would have, that we'd be able to go a little bit longer, and so that's a bummer. But people love this game too. They poured their heart and souls into it. So they need to take care of their own business and take care of their families. But hopefully this just if we bring funding in and can have real employees in an office, we'll look back at this like a bump on the road, and just forge ahead. So if I wasn't an optimist, EverQuest wouldn't have been made. So with everyone saying it was impossible, so I am a very optimistic person. Sometimes it bites me in the ass, but usually it's a good attribute to have.
Of course, we are taking questions in the chat, in the PantheonRiseTheFallen.com/chat page. First one comes from the KTAM radio folks. If the rest of the developers who have not received full pay actually feel the same way, we, quote unquote, is a very loose term to avoid any personal responsibility. That wasn't really a question, I guess. Okay. I thought that was a question. I'm so sorry there. I'm so sorry, KTAM. There's a question. Troy Kostick. Will you or anyone post a video of the prototype you created? There we go. That's a good question.
Yeah, we'd like to do that. That is being planned. I'll say, to manage expectations right up front, it's still a prototype, and it'll be something, that I'll probably just have to put together. So it's not going to be this great production. The money's not there either to do production. And even if it was, the money would be spent elsewhere anyway. So, but showing off that zone that Vu and the other artists put together.
Oh yeah,
something that I'd like to do at the very least, more screenshots and hopefully a short movie. Just a Fraps movie, something like that.
Absolutely. Again, guys, any questions in the Pantheon Rise the Fallen chat? Throw them in there. Make sure share your thoughts. I remembering the Pantheon Developer Series and seeing that zone come together, just be knit together week after week from Vu. It was incredibly entertaining to actually watch a game come together like that. Hopefully, people don't walk away from this, or even if they continue participating in the Pantheon project, hopefully they appreciate how open and reasonable you guys have been with this whole process. Do you feel that might have also hurt you though, with how much you're willing to show early on?
It's the whole thing. We started this whole thing out very open, very honest, very direct, keeping it real, not trying to hide anything, and that's just kind of who we are. That's who I am. That's how I want to do business going forward. Regardless of whatever I was involved with. So, but yeah, that also opens up you up for people who are skeptical or negative, and but it's a price worth paying. I believe so strongly in the community and building that community early on, especially early on with a project like this, where normally in the old days, you make an MMO, you would be probably 3 or 4 years into the project before you really started building community and reaching out.
Sure.
And of course, one of the mistakes on Kickstarter we made was we didn't want to put all this information about the game out there because we were used to keeping it back. And times have changed, and the reality is that the people who pledge and the people who are interested have a right to see a lot of what's going on in the insides and decisions that are being made, features that are either going to be in the game or that we're still debating internally. So we've adjusted to that and as quickly as possible, and that's the way it's going to be. I'm going to keep it real, and I'm happy to answer the hard questions.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Always asking very, very bluntly if Tom and James Rochelle are still involved in the project.
That here I am saying that I'll be open. Here's what I'm not.
It's all right if you can't answer that.
I'm not going to tell you what another team member is thinking at this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
We're bummed, and everyone is different in a different place and looking at the situation in different ways. And I'm not going to, from that standpoint, I'm not going to speak to anybody except myself.
Sure. Lucinda, next question down the line. That Lucinda is asking, how has this affected the release date for Pantheon: Rise of the Fallen?
Every month we don't have funding pushes the game back 1 month.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Simple math, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a solid 3 years once we start full speed. We've planned that out in a lot of detail. We're confident we can deliver, but that means us, at full strength, kicking ass going forward, which we're not right now. So.
And to answer Lucinda's second question there down the line, yes, that you would be then considered an angel investor. Obviously, don't mention actual numbers, but that would be considered an angel investor. Scrolling back up here, Awe asks, do you have anything beyond the work that Vu has done, the work that your other developers have done? What specifically is in your investment package? I think is what specifically he's asking.
Oh, well, it's a pretty comprehensive business plan and term sheet. I mean, I can't go into the numbers or anything. That's all internal. But I mean, it shows. It talks about the project, the competition for a project, why a project like this makes sense right now. Talks about the team, talks about this, the genre, talks about the industry state right now, and then the big part of it, where my friend Chris has helped so much on, is really complicated spreadsheets that I barely understand that show where all the money once we brought it in would go. What is your burn rate every month? What are your incidentals? What is rent? What's your all that kind of stuff. So, it shows a 3-year project, where the money goes. And then it also has projections in there too. If we had so many subscribers by a certain point, this is the kind of money that would be coming in, that kind of thing. So where the real money would go, and then what kind of money the project would make depending on various tiers of success. That pretty much sums it up.
Right.
You can look on the internet and download what a corporate business plan that's trying to raise money looks like, and we didn't do anything off the wall or weird. It's a straight up solid, business plan and term sheet.
Can you talk about the actual game content that's involved in this package?
It's an optional. Some investors may want to look at the progress we've made from a gameplay standpoint. So we're ready to show them the zone that the artists have put together and it's really I call it a prototype. It's on its way. It's not an alpha. We're not near that point yet, but it does. I call it a prototype for two reasons. It shows what we can do with the engine, what the artists have been able to accomplish in a short period of time, and then it also has a rudimentary prototype of our combat system with where you can not only attack, but you can respond to mobs attacking you and counterspell and deflect. There's NPCs in that zone that will attack you. You can log on with a few other people on the team and walk around, which shows your basic MMO networking kind of thing. So the big thing is just visually what we've been able to put together and being able to show how cool the combat system is already.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, next question from the chat from Multisync. How can the fan base that's already here and investing in the project help beyond what has already been stated?
Well, we because of the amount of crowdfunding coming in now that's died down, we wanted to make it really. It was important to us to make it clear that money that comes in the future it's going to keep the website up, pay for the bandwidth, all the incidentals. But until we get a real investment infusion, we're not going to resume development. So we certainly appreciate that, people helping out, keeping the website up, keeping our so we can communicate with you guys and the community can communicate with us. Other than that, hey, spread the word. If you don't know of any investors or people like that, just help keep doing what you've been doing. The community's been fantastic. Mm-hmm. Not just the guys that haven't been in a position to help us out financially, but even the ones that haven't, who are out there on the bandwagon. You guys are fantastic, and it's a big reason why we're so in love with this project, because we know we have that community behind us. So keep doing what you're doing. Just look more, just put the filter on more specifically for angel investors and people who, get people excited about the game and let them know about it. And excitement is contagious. So.
Sure. KTAM Radio. I do believe that is Beckalter asking, are there any plans to release a comprehensive ledger of the current funds received and where the money has gone, excluding the particulars of individual wages like Star Citizen has done?
That's not currently planned, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Carl Savant is asking, I got you. Okay. You have a great investment package put together now. Would you mind informing us as to why it hasn't been used or explained until this point in time?
I brought it up certainly in the past that we were putting together a solid business plan, that we needed that we were already talking to some initial investors, but yes. I've made it very clear that what was a big priority. That's why I was, unfortunately, I'd rather be interacting with the community, but I kind of explained that's what was going on. So
I believe you actually talked about that during our last time you were on with us talking about this. So if you guys go back in the archives on our YouTube page, you should be able to find it. Last time Brad was on.
It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I mean, who's been listening and watching that, because that's been a big piece of the puzzle that needed to get done.
And was it something that was completed relatively recently? Because he is asking if it has been used yet. Like, have you guys been active with it?
Yeah, it has been used. We've gotten some really good feedback. It's been completely done for 2 weeks, a week and a half. Done to the point that we were comfortable sending it out, and we've sent it out to multiple investors, and we'll continue to do so. I just sent one out right before this video, so it's going out there. It is. Don't expect to see it. Floating around. These are private, NDA covered investors. We're not an IPO. We're not a public company. all this, it has to be protected by the company, and it's something that you deal with directly with an accredited investor. We can't just sell stock or equity. That's illegal. We're still a private corporation. So, but it is absolutely out there, and it's the most important thing. It has been for me for weeks now, months now, and it will continue to be my priority. I'm not going to give up by any means.
Are you able and or willing to talk about specific monetary needs? You have KTAM Radio is asking about that.
Here, I mean, really, we're initially asking, and the term sheet sets it up, with $500,000 increments.
Mm-hmm.
But that nothing there is set in stone. If someone wants to come back and talk about different types of dollar amounts, you have to put something in there. So $500,000 increments, and all the way up to, and this I have talked about. We think the game will be at this point. I was saying 8 to 12 million. At this point, it's going to be a $10 to $12 million game now that we have done.
Mm-hmm.
We had good numbers on it, and like I was saying, that crazy spreadsheet, we now have ridiculous amounts of detail figured out, planned out, and it looks like it's going to be between a 10 to 12 million game over 3 years. So that's it. Yeah, 500,000. This is the first, our first release, our first run of looking for investors. The people who get in earlier, of course, get a better deal. In terms of purchasing equity, it's all pretty boilerplate. I know it's maybe not something obvious to a lot of people who don't deal with things like that. But if you are familiar with just how startups get funded, it's pretty boilerplate. There's nothing very creative about it. It's just compelling, great, the exciting documentation that will hopefully, just like all of you in the community who read what we've posted and what we've talked about and gotten excited about it. That's exactly what this document is supposed to do: is get an investor to read about our dream and this passion that we have, and to get excited about it. So it's really, ultimately, that's really what it is. And then, of course, a lot of numbers.
Going back to the chat here. Actually, I just want to comment really quick on what Monster Sir is saying. I personally, I don't think KTAM's questions aren't that sharp. I think they're pertinent, but I can respect that some people are going to be unhappy that this project is seeing this kind of slowdown.
We're unhappy.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine you must be just brokenhearted about this kind of situation.
And the team is. I've got a lump in my stomach right now. It's not pleasant.
Yeah.
But I still, that the other half, I still remain an optimist. I guess I'm a pit bull. I'm not giving up at this point. Not when we're perfectly poised to talk to these investors. It just sucks that we're not getting development going on at the same time, and that the people who've been involved have to look to take care of themselves right now, and that's really tough. And we're all bummed. I know the community's bummed as well. I hope, I ask for empathy. If you're feeling bummed as a fan or as a follower, part of the community, believe me, we're feeling it too. But we're not quitters either. And this is an awesome game. So not quitting, it's all about, unfortunately it costs money to make these games, to make any kind of game, any kind of project. It's art, it's a dream, it's something personal. But there's still realities. You gotta pay the bills and take care of your family.
Sure. Going back, Awe has a really big question.
Okay.
Shortening it up here. Your friend Chris, has a lot of the financial involvement in this, he's asking what his credentials are in the MMO genre and what makes him a solid, viable option for this business plan that you've been working on and presenting. Also, he's asking if your friend Chris is operating as a fiduciary agent for VRI, or if you're the sole responsible individual for the financial aspects of Pantheon.
The project or the company, the corporation doesn't really have has no employees right now, unless you would want to consider that me, because someone's got to be fulfilling the office of a corporate office. But so everyone is helping out as a contractor. They are helping out for equity, for stock options, things like that. So that's how people are being compensated, and that's also how Chris is involved. Chris is not a huge MMO player, but he follows technology. He's a gamer. Where his strength comes in is he's a kind of a serial entrepreneur, and he helps out companies and has helped bring investments to, I don't know, 5, 10 plus companies. He's a great guy. I've known him for over 10 years. This is what he does. This is the kind of help that I needed.
Sure.
Right? I mean, this is something I can do. I'm not super awesome at it. I'm not this guy that goes around and just gets people to open up their wallets. I'm a visionary about where MMOs should go, and what I want to do the rest of my life is make MMOs. What I enjoy is being involved in the high level design and just how a virtual world all comes together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I need help from somebody who's much more business oriented, investment oriented, and he and I make a great team.
Multisync is asking, do you feel there's a way to use a volunteer system for volunteer programs and designers to help keep moving the game forward? Or are you kind of stuck on, making sure these people get paid a reasonable wage and has an office to work in?
Yeah, we need to make that next stage. And volunteer work gets really hard because there's a lot of legal things going on there about who did what and where. And like I said, everyone that's helped out on the project so far has been a contractor with a contract. And going forward, they rightfully so, and I want them to be employees. Once we get the funding. So I appreciate anybody out there who, people are volunteering their help, just not in an official capacity. Look at them; they're out spreading the words, they're posting on the boards. In terms of doing actual development work, I just don't think that's realistic. But but I appreciate the thoughts and the people's willingness to help. I get emails all the time, hey man, I don't know how I could help, but if I could, I would. And I appreciate that. That helps. That's what fuels my optimism and makes me keep going. Is simple email like that. Hey, don't know how to help you, man, but I believe in the project. Keep kicking ass. Well, those emails are appreciated, much appreciated.
K-Tam is asking, what are your plans to re-engage the community to maintain their support and maintain and increase their support, rather? At this time, with continued crowdfunding, make a difference if it does not come in $1,000 plus increments daily.
Like I said, there would have to be a spectacular change in crowdfunding to bring in enough money to go back to where we were. Like I said, what we're doing now, it's coming in, it's streaming in, it's pretty consistent, but it's just not enough to pay contractors. And so we're being very clear that we're using that money to keep things going, keep the web page up, keep, there's some incidentals, when of course you have a corporation, doesn't matter how small, it doesn't matter if it's made no money whatsoever. The government, we've already paid taxes this year. You do it quarterly, the government's got you too. So there's incidentals, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And the money coming in, that's where the money will be put.
Mm-hmm.
And just keeping this going. And the other part of the question was community. The other nice thing, now that this plan's done, we're poised and in the process of reaching out. And now that I do have help, I'm going to be much more involved on PantheonRTF.com and be there to answer questions and talk about game ideas, stuff that hopefully the level of involvement, or at least approaching that I wish I had a month or two ago. and I just simply didn't have the bandwidth because of everything coming together and so many things going on. So I will be there. Tom is committed to keep the site up and maintained, and to handle any issues there. Some of them, I haven't talked to the entire team about, where they're at. And again, I'm not going to speak for them outside of, I did talk to Tom today, and the website looks solid, and we know, we have that budgeted, and we know we can keep that going. So I look forward to re-engaging the community and keeping this thing going. And I think this game needs to be made, and people out there, we'll find people out there who agree and can help out and make this dream of ours a reality.
Troy Kostick wants to know how obviously you feel like this is absolutely worth pushing, but he's wondering how confident you are that you're going to be able to find the investors you need to make Pantheon happen.
I am confident, but like I mentioned earlier, I'm an optimist, so I always believe something's going to work out, and even if it doesn't, then I just keep going or do something else. And I'm persistent. I hang on, kind of a pit bull, and I'm not even close to being done yet in terms of my belief in this project that it needs to be made. The project, the progress that's been made so far, and the potential with all the lore in the world. And this is a game that I personally want to play. So I can't promise anything. I'm not a prophet. I don't know the future. But if I wasn't confident, maybe I would. Maybe I just shut it all down. But I'm confident. I'm confident that this. How about all the people listening to this and who tuned into my other interviews and the messages that have gone on out there? People want this game, and we just hope there's enough that we can find the funding.
Lucinda's asking about what happens when you lose key members of the dev team if they decide they need to find other jobs. I think you've already answered that to a certain extent, saying, well, people are going to do as they need to, and you aren't going to speak for anyone but yourself.
I'll add that the door will certainly always be open for them.
Certainly,
if they need to do that, for them to come back, because it's a fantastic team. I'm very proud of the team. But yes, I can't speak for anybody on an individual basis.
K-Tam is asking if you're going to be opening up the website to the public as a whole now that development has, for the time being, ended.
I thought about it. I thought about it, and I need to talk to Tom about that. But if we did that, we would need some volunteer help with moderation, some serious moderators helping out, because there's already websites you can go out there and say whatever you want and talk about whatever game you want and be positive or negative. There are some talking about the game right now, both in, I know where to look, where it's more positive or it's very negative. I don't think the world needs just another site like that. We would, if we did make that decision, it would still be heavily moderated, so that it was still constructive. It really is still a tool to us to hear from our community and to hear from people who have a lot of great ideas. And it would, if we did make a change, it would still need to serve that purpose, because like I said, the world doesn't need just another board for people to argue about Pantheon sucks, Pantheon rules, Brad's crazy, Brad's whatever. There's more than a number of places if that's about the kind of communication you want, but that's not what we're looking for with our site.
K-Tam also wanted to know what's going to happen to the people who are currently subbed. Are you going to be able to throw them any bones as this wait period continues?
The bone is that we're not shutting it down, and I'll be a lot more active. And if that's enough for them, if they feel that they're getting their, if they feel it's worth what they're paying, great. If they don't, I understand, and they can cancel their weekly, their monthly subscription. That's up to them. I'm going to do my best to add more value now. Now that I've got some time freed up for that, and that's also up to the individual. If if they feel they're getting their money's worth on our site, that's great. If not, then everyone has to make that decision for themselves.
I'm sorry, Beck. I don't understand. Then go ahead and retype your question, because I'm not sure what you asked. Then going down the line. On the site, the running tally of investment, does this include money that has been recognized by the company, or is it a forward-looking number that takes into account revenue from subscription model investors?
The number on the website needs to be looked at. That's something I need to resolve and understand more of. That's not the number that we use when we're balancing our accounts and everything like that. I'm not prepared to answer that at this point. I need to talk to Tom and see what we're going to do about that dollar amount. I really never. That wasn't that wasn't where I looked at the number. I was in the Chris and I are in the bank accounts and the PayPal accounts, and that's just not. I don't know where that number's coming from exactly.
I'm reading over Kate Beckalter's question, and I'm not sure what else he meant. It's kind of directed. Okay, his exact question, I believe you've answered this already, but he's insistent. Will you be opening the site to everyone and let people who want to maintain their subs do so that you do not risk losing more people from the site and their support?
I think if I understand the question correctly, yes. Open to anybody. I mean, anybody. It's still open. Anyone can subscribe, and anyone who is subscribing now will continue to subscribe unless they decide to turn that off. And the website will go forward, and you'll see a lot more activity and updates from me on that site. I'm not sure I answered the question, though.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. And all I wanted to make sure you also understood the example that he had from his question on subscription model investors. Example, there was an option to spread even the 10K investment over 12 payments.
Right. Okay. Yes, in that case, I would, if I were the person, the pledger, I would not. Now that we've made the statement that the money is not going towards the development, we're on a hiatus right there. It's temporarily stopped. So, if anyone has spread around their payments, I would not. If your desire is to see that money go into development when it restarts, you should wait until we have officially restarted once we've found funding, which will certainly, when that day happens, everyone will hear from us. So you should suspend that until we've been successful. Just keeping it real.
Okay. Troy Kostic is asking, will the community be getting any more high-level design documents like the one on climate?
I thought that the response to that was pretty positive. It was another one of those things that in the past, I never would have done. Again, going back to the old keep it all secret until the last year before you launch. But I thought, and certainly there's design stuff that we're going to keep close to our vest. But the climate, there's some other ideas we have, and if people really like that, it was kind of fun sharing what one of our internal documents looked like. But we're not going to post all of them. But if people like that, I had fun posting it and putting it together, and it was fun reading the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Let's see here. I'm Oh, there's one. Multisync. What's going to happen with funds in excess of what's needed to keep the web page up and running?
I don't know if that's going to be the case. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It depends on how many users still use the web page, how much bandwidth is going to cost, whether we need to move to a smaller system or not. I just can't answer that yet. I don't know what our monthly costs are going to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anybody who's run a website with a decent amount of users, you know what I'm talking about. There's variables and unknowns.
Sure. K-Tam's also asking about lore. Isn't lore a high-level design document? There's a lot of lore coming out with all kinds of racial details.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tony has done a spectacular job. He was one of the key guys back in EQ, putting that world together with Bill Trost, and what he's done with Terminus and the Pantheon universe is spectacular. And he and I spoke today, and he still wants to do what he can, but again, that's up to him going forward. But he did express interest to me to keep going, and in a sense, it is a design document. What you're reading, see, the world building and the art and the programming have gone into the prototype. What Tony and people helping him out with the lore, we're not at the point where we're putting in quests and storylines yet, right? So he's generating all this lore. So we kind of looked at it and said, well, he can just keep putting this stuff together, and we put it and we keep it on a hard drive somewhere, or again, we share that with the community. So that's why you see a lot of lore. Well, one reason is Tony kicks ass, but the other one is that that's not content that we're ready to put into the game yet. So we're formatting it and revealing it to the players as it comes together. That makes sense?
Sure. I know quite a few people are obviously unhappy that the construction of the game that's been halted. So do I. Are you able to comfort people who feel like they're not getting their money's worth at this point for the project? Obviously, you want the game to be made, no ifs, ands, or buts. But What can you tell people who are saying, well, we invested this money already? What's the status of the product? Where's the product moving? Well, why isn't the product moving?
We were extremely clear from the beginning, and we knew we needed to be in an attempt to manage expectations and to be straight up. And that was that the crowdfunding was to get us to this point.
Mm-hmm.
The min spec, that this is the most important thing, was to get us to the point where we were poised to reach out to investors. Ideally, there would have been more, more repledges, and we could have done both. We could have continued development and, really sat to the investors. But we did achieve what we told people we needed to achieve, and where the money was going to go. It went into the team, myself included, so that we could bring the project to the point that it's at today. And again, that's a business plan, a solid term sheet, and a prototype. And what I'm saying right now is that at minimum, you're going to see more screenshots of the area that Boo and other artists worked on, that zone that's our prototype, and hopefully maybe even a Fraps movie or something like that showing you more. Whether that makes, I know that's not going to make everyone happy. I know that most everyone probably hasn't made a game before, but I will let you know for sure, based on my 15 plus years in the industry, that what we did accomplish, much of it which you guys have seen already, and this additional info for, or screenshots or what have you from the demo, for 12, started with 8 or 9 guys, but 12 guys working at home, some people working other jobs too to make ends meet. We've kicked ass, and I'm really proud of what the team has accomplished. If someone wants to challenge that, they're really going to have to show me other examples or something of this happening, or show me some real MMO development experience, because we've done a fantastic job with the fantastic help that we've received from our community. So,
sure,
enough said.
Sure. Always asking, say you find someone willing to invest at the 500K range of your lowest increment, but do not have line of sight to more than that. What then? And then KTAM adds on to it. Is it all or nothing for that 12 million?
No, we're not trying. We don't think it's not our plan to raise the entire 12 million at once. There'll be multiple rounds of funding. And if we brought in 500 or so, yes, that would be enough for us to restart everything and have a modest office space and get things going, which is why we chose that as kind of the minimum number that we're looking at. We'll talk about anything, but that's, what's on the paper. That's the reason we chose that number, is that's what we need to restart and get things back into motion like we want to. But there will be multiple rounds of funding, and that's totally normal. Again, people are more than welcome to look at how startups do things, and it happens all over the world. And usually a corporation will do multiple rounds of funding. They don't look for the entire dollar amount right up front.
Mm-hmm. I'm also curious, why the 10 to 12 million? What's so specific about that number that says, okay, well, this is what we need for it?
Well, we've gone through the development, the programming, the art assets, the world design work that needs to be done. We've done it many times. We've watched ourselves and seen how long it takes using Unity, the engine that we're using, and from there you write out all the different milestones and things like that for a project. You can go more detailed than that, and have different deliverables and things like that, and you just put all that into a spreadsheet, and you use your gut and use your knowledge, your experience making MMOs. I've shipped 2 MMOs and been involved with multiple MMOs, and you put all that in, and it comes out to 3 years and 10 to 12 million. So it's like I said, if someone is an accredited investor, they can see all those details, but they are there, and it's all been worked out.
Mm-hmm. Brunt wants to know, do any of the team members have any rights, principles of the company to what has been produced so far?
Everybody, well, not everybody. The founders, the people that were there right from the beginning, own equity in the company, and that means what it means, and that was in recognition for all the sweat equity they put in before they were even. Most of the guys, including me, haven't seen an employment paycheck since August or September. So the people that came on board early were given stock, and then later they were brought on board as contractors and paid the best that we could. It's really nothing out of the ordinary. It's how a lot of most startups come together.
Mm-hmm.
We even meet in my garage. I think we meet most of the stereotypes about startups.
We're coming up on the last 5 minutes of tonight's broadcast. Again, guys, any last questions, get them in right now, so we can fit them in the last few minutes here. Over in the Pantheon Rise of the Fallen chat, I'm not seeing any more questions. Looking through. Nope, just yet. No questions just yet. Oh, no, Brunt actually has an add-on. That cleared him up for hit perfectly. That cleared everything up for him perfectly, so appreciate it.
Awesome. Appreciate the questions.
Yeah. What are the next few steps that the community is going to be able to see over the next month or so? What's the response from your company and yourself going to be, and what's going to be visible to them?
I can speak for myself. You're going to see me. I've got time now. You're going to see me on the website. You probably won't see me making huge rounds to a bunch of different websites. I think I'm going to focus on the community that is committed to us. There's over 1,500 people there, and that's where most of my time is going to be. I'll also continue to do interviews, anything like that comes up. I've done 2 yesterday and 1 today, so I'm more than happy to do that. There's some tough questions out there. The buck stops here. It's my company, and what happened. I take full responsibility, but like I said, by no means is this the end, and I'm moving ahead. So I'll be more involved with the community. I can't speak for the other team members. I'm sure they'll do whatever they can. That's best for them. So that you'll see that I'll keep everyone as up to date as possible. And certainly, if we secure, when we secure some money so that we can do this restart, you'll definitely hear about it, because I'll be screaming and yelling and running around and dancing. So
sure,
yeah, you won't miss that when that happens. So anyway, in the short term, that's the plan.
Lucinda's asking about contact information for you. Awe actually answered that question in chat, but just so everyone understands it, everyone gets it. Brad at PantheonROTF.com. If anyone's interested in investing in the project, is that the place to contact you?
Yes. I know there's other ways out there. I watch them as well, but the primary email that I check the most often is the Brad at PantheonROTF.com. That's what I primarily monitor.
Mm-hmm. All right. Again, Brad at PantheonROTF.com is that email. K-Town wants to ask, what are the short-term goals relating to the community and long-term goals to keep the community involved and reach out to other people to help support the game? What roles do you want the community sites like ourselves, like K-Tam, Athenum, and PJ Pantheon to play going forward?
You guys are doing it already. I appreciate the time that you're giving me to talk about this. It's not easy it's not easy answering some of the tough questions, but the game's worth it. The project is worth it, and I'm willing to do that. And this just helps spread the word. And it spreads the details of what exactly is going on. We've always been very open. So, the community reaching out. If you heard of an investor, or somebody who might have some interest in the game, please reach out to me or have them reach out to me, and just spread the word. And thank you for doing that already for months. Thank you for continuing to do that. Now you know that that's our big emphasis, and so I'll keep you guys as informed as possible on our website, and also I'm sure there'll be more interviews. Feel free to shoot me a question too. I'm not at the point yet where my inbox is being spammed. So if there's something that you really have on your mind, or you just want some encouragement or whatever, or concern, well, let me know, and I'll probably, if it's something significant, I'll probably move it onto the forums, and so we can all talk about it and learn from it. But I'll be on the website more often. I'll be doing more interviews, and the community is awesome. This is bittersweet news, but we're going to march ahead.
Mm-hmm. Coming from Rhett, best case scenario, an investor were to tell you tomorrow that, and I keep losing the scroll there, that they completely fund you. How long will it take to get into what you consider full development?
Gosh, it really depends on the investor and their availability of fund. There's a lot of, once you get to that point, and this is why I'm glad I have Chris around, is then a lot of documents and attorneys get involved, and you work all that stuff out. So I would hope it would be no more than 2 or 3 months, but honestly, it completely varies individually. There is no time that this is how long it takes. It just isn't like that. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm. Last question we're going to have time for, because we are coming up on 8 p.m. EST, and very poignant too. While this low period is in effect, while you guys are trying to find investment, what's going to happen to the different roundtable discussions, including this one? Is that going to be something you can continue, or do you feel comfortable waiting until development actually starts again to continue those?
I'm happy just to talk about the game, talk
Mm-hmm.
about where everything's at, and I'll be here. I can't speak for everybody else, but if the interest level is there and you guys want to hear from me, I'm more than happy, to do this fairly regularly and keep everyone up to date. It's really, it's up to Rob and Dan and other interviewers, K-Tam and Boogie did a great thing and let me do an interview with him. And if people are interested to hear from me, then just contact me or contact Ben. He was still watching all of our PR and marketing and things, and get a hold of me and we can set something up.
There we go. Brad, thank you so much. I know this isn't easy to talk about. This is your this is your baby, your pet project, and you have to talk about bad news, which is never easy. But appreciate you being forward, saying what you can.
That's the commitment we've made, and we will continue to honor, and that is, an open development process. So we're going to hear the good and the bad and the ups and the downs, and but keep the faith, because I am.
There we go. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this tonight, this evening. We appreciate all the questions from the chat room. Please continue to watch PantheonROTF.com. This archive will, of course, be up on YouTube.com/The Rob and Dan Show coming up later on this week. Again, thank you so much for being here tonight, guys. Brad, thank you for taking the time again. I know this wasn't easy, but
I appreciate the opportunity, though, to get that. It's important the message gets out.
Thank you so much. The after show is starting up here in just a few minutes over at KTAM Radio. That's ktamradio.com. They also have a mumble set up that you can be a part of to participate in that. And in just a few minutes here, we're going to be going back to our Heroes of the Storm grinding marathon, trying to get up to level 40. Thank you for joining us here tonight, guys. For Rob, I have been Dan.
For Dan, I have been in the background.
Brad, again, thank you so much. Have a great night, folks.
All right, you too.